Hello again to ILTV viewers, and welcome to another edition of Israeli Frenemies, where the left and the right meet in ideological combat. With me today in the studio is Adam Keller, spokesperson of the left-wing Gush Shalom movement. Let's begin.
The Iranian regime has a choice. It can either do a 180-degree turn from its outlaw course of action and act like a normal country, or it can see its economy crumble.
Well, our first subject is the sanctions which President Trump imposed on Iran just after having suffered a big blow in the American domestic scene. My view is that Trump is making a very big mistake. He thinks that after Iran has negotiated with the United States and with the Europeans and made a deal which was quite tough from its point of view, quite a lot of concessions from the Iranian point of view. We made a deal with the President of the United States, who was the fully empowered President of the United States named Barack Obama. And there could come a new president and would say just, okay, as far as I'm concerned, that is nothing. I want you to negotiate again and to agree to much more harsh conditions from your point of view. And otherwise, I destroy your economy. I think that Trump and also Netanyahu, who is pushing Trump into this action, is very much misjudging the Iranian people. The Iranian people, many of them are very much inclined towards the West. Many of them are inclined towards the Western way of life. The slogan, Islam is the solution, which is very popular elsewhere in the Middle East, does not have very much popularity among young people in Iran.
Excuse me, I must comment on what you're saying. I mean, I've lost your trend of logic. First of all, you talk about the big blow that Trump suffered. I think Trump suffered one of the smallest blows that a sitting president has experienced in his first midterm election, far less than many other presidents. And he still controls the Senate, and he still controls the Supreme Court, and he still controls the White House, and he still controls foreign policy. So, but I think maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later. But I'm having difficulty understanding, if you believe that the population there wants a different kind of rule, how are you going to get rid of this regime? The agreement signed by Obama was appalling. It was appalling in its dishonesty, presenting it as the agreement or the war. And we've seen Trump has put on more and more sanctions, undermined the Iranian economy dramatically, and there's been no war. But I'm having difficulty understanding how you think. Do you really believe that the former agreement could hold water? There were more holes in substance. You can't inspect the military. You couldn't inspect the military sites. You couldn't inspect suspicious sites without an unbelievable long notice. It didn't deal with missile technology. It didn't deal with terrorism. It was a joke. The whole point of that agreement was to enrich the current regime economically, to empower it militarily, and to entrench it politically. And look what has happened today in Syria. All the adventurism in Syria at the expense of the Iranian people. The Iranian people are expressing great disaffection with these military adventures. How do you think the Ayatollahs are going to stop it on their own volition? Really?
And I don't think that Ayatollahs are going to stop of their own volition.
So
there is in the Iranian regime, it is not a monolithic bloc.
Oh, really?
There are relatively
between radical and extremely radical.
Yeah, okay. I think the same can be said about the Israeli regime,
which says a lot about your judgment.
I think that in our government we certainly can say that between Netanyahu and Bennett, that is the same between extreme and more extreme.
When people hung for homosexuality.
No,
let's keep the conversation.
I'm talking about how Israel is treating the Palestinians. Israel does not hang homosexuals.
Which part of they want to kill you?
But I was just saying it as a sideline. I did not want to start a negotiation, talk about Israel. We could talk a whole day about it. About Iran, there are young people who are in Iran who would like to have better relations with the West.
What relevance do they have?
Very much relevance. They do vote in elections. Iran,
for who? For the Ayatollahs or the Ayatollahs?
Iran is the only country in the Middle East, except for Israel, where you don't know the result of the elections until you count the votes. Now it is far from being perfect democracy. It is much better. It is much better than Israel's good friend Saudi Arabia, for example. But anyway. The Iranians, you think that the agreement is worth nothing. That was the agreement which was signed by the legal government of the United States and by European Union, by Russia and by China and so on.
And admitted by Obama's chief aide that it was a total hoax, a total deception.
I did not hear that. Anyway, the point is, Trump thinks that he can force the Iranians to make a much worse deal from their point of view.
A much better for the civilized world.
Perhaps I have a doubt about that either. But I think that Trump is misjudging the Iranian people.
On what basis?
And
on
what basis? I have some contacts in Iran.
You have some contacts in Iran?
Yes.
Okay,
and you don't need even to have some contacts in Iran directly. You need just to read the media and to not
the media way,
the Israeli media, the American media, the Iranian media also. But anyway, I think that Trump is very much misjudging the Iranian people. He tells them you have to surrender or I destroy your economy. I think that they will not surrender, and if he thinks that the anger of the young people and of the disaffected people will turn against the regime, he is mistaken. The anger will turn against the West and against the United States.
The sanctions are imposed because of Iranian policy. If Iranian policy was different, they wouldn't have been imposed. So what you're telling me now is that the Iranian people are so stupid.
I'm telling you, Iran has kept.
You have to let me say two sentences.
Yes.
So you're telling me that the Iranian people are so stupid that they will not be able to realize that the sanctions are the result of the actions of their government and not some sort of arbitrary caprice of the American government? Really? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I do say so, that the Iranian people will say, we have made an agreement with the United States. The agreement included significant concessions from our point of view,
Which concession?
Stopping the nuclear program for 10 years. Without this agreement, Iran might have been already now in possession of a nuclear bomb.
And how would have had to help the people who want a new kind of life in Iran? Explain to me, how would that have helped?
The people who want a better life.
All they need is a nuclear bomb.
The people who want a better life were very much hoping that after the end of the sanctions, which were imposed by Obama, there will be a time of economic prosperity.
The Iranian government spent millions in Syria
governments in the Middle East have a habit of spending an enormous lot of money for military expenses, and our own government is certainly.
How does the Syrian adventure advance the Iranian public?
That is a good question, which is a question for Iranians to discuss among each other. But what I tell you is, when you come to the young Iranians and you tell them, because your government has helped Assad to survive, therefore we impose on you crippling sanctions, and we break the agreement which was signed by previous American president. You think that when Trump gives them this message and says, the agreement which you made with my predecessor is worth nothing, I'm breaking it, and I impose on you, and I demand that you surrender. And I think that
Adam, why could Trump break the agreement? Because of the dishonesty and the malice of Obama, because Obama didn't want to pass that in the Senate as a treaty, because he would never have got it through. So he passed it as an executive order, and that's why Trump couldn't do it. If Obama had gone the normal way as it should have gone, that agreement would never have been signed in America.
Okay, that is a good question, good point of internal American politics. The Iranians know one thing. There was a president of the United States. He imposed on us sanctions. Under pressure of these sanctions, we made an agreement. Now there is a new president who is unilaterally breaking an agreement which we kept.
No, you didn't. I didn't keep.
They did keep the agreement. They did keep the agreement.
Our next topic is the results of the midterm elections in the United States. The result being that the Democrats regained control of the House, whilst the Republicans increased their majority in the Senate and, of course, have still the White House under their control. Many people think that this was a success for Trump because, as a matter of course, sitting presidents normally lose far more seats in the House than Trump did in their first term. And some people see this as a surprising result, and the predicted blue wave never really came about, and what we got was perhaps a blue ripple. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, first of all, usually sitting presidents in the United States don't involve themselves in the midterm elections to the extent that Trump did. Usually, sitting presidents don't ask for their name to be on the ballot in midterm elections. Trump did it and made the point of it. He made the point that these elections were a kind of referendum on him, a referendum on his performance. And the relevant referendum was the elections to the House, because the elections to the Senate were only for a third of the seats, and most of them were seats which were occupied already by Democrats. The countrywide elections in the United States were the elections of the House of Representatives. Trump defined it himself as a referendum, and he lost that referendum. That is the essential effect.
Well, I must tell you, I've been watching the left-leaning networks in the United States, and they're all very disappointed with the results. Everyone seems to think that they were expecting a far greater turnout and better electoral results for the Democrats. So, you know, this does seem to be that it seems that Trump has certainly made some impact in blocking this predicted blue wave.
Yes, there was, of course, many Democrats expected more, especially many Democrats expected Beto O'Rourke to win in Texas. And the fact that the Democrats could expect to win. The fact that the Democrats could realistically expect to win in Texas, and that they came very near to it, is very significant, because knowing the electoral history of Texas.
You know, when you say they realistically expected Hillary Clinton to win as well.
Okay, yeah, Hillary Clinton won the majority, if you remember, only because of the Electoral College.
Well, no,
Trump is president.
those are the rules of the name, because those are the rules of the game, because they want to.
Yeah, the very bad rules of the game, which United States should get rid of. The fact that somebody could get a minority in the polls and still be the president is very bad rules of the game, which United States should get rid of. That is the only country in the world which is still acting according to 18th century rules. But anyway, the fact is United States is now in fact in a situation of a cold civil war. I think United States is the closest. I think United States is the closest which it had been to a civil war since 1861. And it is not yet come to two sides taking arms against each other, but everything but.
Do you know why? Because the Democrats will not accept the results. They were afraid that Trump wouldn't accept the results if Hillary Clinton won. But the Democrats have not accepted the results, and they will do everything to undermine this president.
Yes,
but I would like to take the discussion in a slightly different direction. Do you have any thoughts on how the election results will affect Trump's policy or the American policy towards Israel, if at all?
I think that first of all, the election results will weaken Trump. You could say, of course, if the Democrats would have gained also the Senate, it would have weakened him even much more. But still, it will. The fact that they are going to be in control of the House of Representatives, and that they will certainly use this as much as possible to hamper Trump in every possible way.
I must point out something. When Obama signed the deal with Iran, the Republicans, if I remember correctly, controlled the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
So that just shows
it means the President of the United States has considerable power, for sure, and Obama had power and Trump has power, and Trump is already very often abusing this power. But
in what way?
With the immigrants from Latin America, with separation of the children.
You think the separation of children was under the previous administration as well. So you think that America should not control its borders? Should not regulate?
There are ways and ways of controlling borders. But in any case, we're talking about.
What really should worry you as a left-wing peace activist is why people from Central America have to walk hundreds and hundreds of miles through other countries in South America to get a better life in America. Maybe people should concentrate on why life in Central and South America is so bad.
Because for 200 years since the Monroe Doctrine, United States has been systematically exploiting Latin America and impoverishing it. But we could discuss this. We could discuss it. But we were going to discuss how it is impacting the American policy towards Israel, the Trump policy towards Israel. Now, first of all, Trump has been talking for since before he was elected about the deal of the century, or the so-called deal of the century, and it has always been put off and put off and put off, and I think it is going to be put off now. Definitely it's going to be put off until after the end of the Trump presidency, because it is very simple. Trump has shown himself so biased and so one-sided that there is no reason whatsoever why the Palestinians should accept him as mediator. They should be crazy to accept him as mediator. I think that the chances of this.
So what you're saying, it won't change. It won't have impact on
no,
the
I think let's say it will. The policy of Trump of giving unlimited support to Netanyahu, I don't say support to Israel. I think the support of Trump to Netanyahu is harmful to Israel. But the support to Netanyahu is probably going to last. Also, that with Trump, you never know. Trump could turn against his best friends. Just happened. Look what happened to Sessions right now.
I must ask you, as a human rights activist, I've never heard any supporter of a Palestinian state believe that it would be anything except homophobic, misogynistic, Muslim majority tyranny that will be a bastion for Islamic terror. Why would you support that? Why would you expect Trump to support that?
First of all, I'm not sure that it's true.
No, that's not the question. Are you sure it won't be?
Sorry, you asked me a question, can you let me answer? Now, first of all, there are different forces in the Palestinian society. There is, for example, a very militant feminist member of the Palestinian parliament named Khalida Jarrar, who is now already for a year under Israeli administrative detention without trial. And I think that she could very well play an important role in shaping a Palestinian state, and then it will not be exactly how you say it. But in any case, it is up to the Palestinians.
What about Gaza makes you optimistic?
What about the Palestinian society makes me optimistic that there are different forces in the Palestinian society and different forces which try in different ways to shape the Palestinian society. But in any case, it is none of Israel's business what regime.
Excuse me. It's very much Israel's business because it will have to deal with that regime.
Okay, yeah,
a mega Gaza. Excuse me, a mega Gaza. Overlooking Tel Aviv.
Well, Israel.
That's not Israel's business.
Wait a minute.
Please explain to me why it's not Israel's business. Please explain to me why a mega Gaza overlooking Tel Aviv and abutting the main highway, overlooking the airport is not Israel's business. How dare you say that it's Israeli? How dare you say that it's Israeli?
So can you let me say, it is Israel's business to demand that whatever regime exists in the state of Palestine, when the state of Palestine will come into existence, will keep peace with Israel. Israel, by the way, if we talk about Gaza, Israel is at this moment in very intensive negotiations with Hamas, which are likely to produce at least 3 years.
Well, despite all the harrowing realities in Israel, I think there certainly is much to be pleased about. Israel is in the forefront of virtually every field of human endeavor, whether it's science, technology, medicine, etc., etc. So I think despite the problems, there's much to be optimistic about in the future.
I want to say a good word for people with whom I don't usually have a good word. That is Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Lieberman. That in the past week there was made an agreement that paid by Qatari money, there is more and more oil coming into the Gaza Strip to power the power station. And people in Gaza are reporting that after years when they've been used to having electricity in their homes only 4 hours a day, now they get 12 hours a day and even 16 hours a day. And I hope to hear that within the coming months that people in Gaza just have electricity in their homes for 24 hours a day, like people in Tel Aviv and everywhere in the world.
So Israel treats the Palestinians better than Abu Mazen?
No, Abu Mazen is treating the people of Gaza in an abominable way.
Well, thank you for watching. We hope to see you again on an upcoming episode of Israeli Frenemies on ILTV.